So, what should be included in the introduction of an effective speech? It's four parts. You need your hook, you need a story or a metaphor or just anything that would really capture the audience's attention and get them to focus on what you're going to say. Um, just like really interested in like kind of open-ended story or something very relevant to what you have to say. You do that before you introduce yourself or before you introduce the topic. So you want this hook, very interesting, very attention grabbing. It's related to the topic you're going to speak about. So you get everybody hooked, and then you introduce the topic. Um, so you want to bridge with the hook. You want to use the introduction to bridge to the topic, and then you introduce yourself while you preview what your topic's going to be. And you keep it short and sweet, just to keep everybody's attention. If you go too in depth about yourself, they're going to kind of lose focus. Especially if it's not a situation where everybody knows you, they're not going to be too interested in who you are, and so you just make it known why what you have to say is relevant. And then you want to give the benefit of what you have to say to like how it will benefit the audience specifically. So if you're in a business class and you're speaking and you are a Wall Street trader, you want to say how what you're talking about has helped you in your career, something that will help a lot of the people in that class as well. As for the conclusion of an effective speech, first it needs to signal that the end is coming near. And when you signal the end, you don't want to keep going too long, or people are going to lose interest, and it's just it's not an enjoyable thing to listen to. You also need to include kind of sort of closure to what you're talking about. So at the end of your speech, you kind of want to wrap everything up nicely and not really have a lot of unanswered questions or unanswered points. So you want to have a good, book into it. And it needs to summarize what you said in the speech, going over each of your key points and reinforcing that for the audience to help them remember. So helping them remember, it needs to be a memorable conclusion, so the audience keeps what you had to say in mind. You can also use the conclusion to call the audience to action, depending on the kind of speech that you're giving. So they can take action on your words, or even if they disagree with you, kind of think about why they disagree with you so they can put that into an argument themselves. As for the different organizational speech patterns, the three that I'm listing are chronological, spatial, and problem solution. For chronological, it's also known as a temporal pattern. It is used when you're listing things that happened in a specific order, and your key points that are relevant to what you're talking about are in the order that they happen. It's also the same kind of structure used when you have a list of tasks or instructions for somebody. First, like say you're throwing instructions to throw trash away. First, you got to open the lid of the trash can, put the trash in, close it. Those key points being opening the lid, throwing the trash away, and closing the lid are going to be in that order of which they need to happen. The spatial pattern is used when you want to describe or paint a picture of something to the audience, where your main points are ordered with either the most notable being first or the closest to where you will be standing being first. And it's used to kind of essentially walk them through what you're describing. So if you're giving a speech on the layout of a museum, your first topic would be the main art piece in the center that is very eye-catching, or in a history museum, it'll be like that giant fossil of the dinosaur right by the front door. It's the first key point. And then as you go through, your key points later would be like, here's, the outer space section and the insect section as you kind of go further in. And then the one that I use the most personally, almost every day at work, is the problem solution pattern. It's where your key point is built up as a problem, the effects of the problem, and then the solution to the problem, or a possible solution to the problem. And I use this like I said, almost every day at work, where when I'm looking at cars, I have to figure out first what the problem is and then describe how that problem affects other systems or the system that it's in, and then come up with the solution, or in my case, proper repair for the problem. So oral citations, they're incredibly important, as it kind of gives the audience where you learned or picked up this information that you're talking about. It also communicates, you can also use it to communicate the credibility of your source. You say what you have to say, you credit who you said, and then you kind of give them, you mention their credibility, like, hey, this thing's true, this is who I got that information from, and this is why they are credible. It's clear where you get the information from. And then you also want to include the appropriate information, like who said it, what they said, what the title of the article is, where they said it, and why they're an authority.